Hi everyone, my name is Blake Warner and I decided to do my Washington native animal presentation on Myotis lucifugus, or the little brown bat. The little brown bat's name has two parts. It's in the genus Myotis, which in Latin means mouse-eared, and its species is lucifugus, which in Latin means light-avoiding or light-fleeing. It's a relatively small bat when compared to the entire order of Chiroptera, or to put it simply, compared to all other bats, with a 2 to 4 inch body from nose to tail, but it's medium-sized when comparing it to other species of Myotis in Washington state. The little brown bat often has long, brown, glossy fur, but it can also be anywhere from yellow to black. Their undersides are lighter than the main body of fur, and their ears and wings are hairless and darker than the shade of their fur. The little brown bat can be found all across the forested parts of North America, from Alaska to Canada and to much of the United States and Washington. In the winter, they hibernate primarily in caves and in mines where there is higher humidity and constant temperature, but in the summer they can be found in many different places, including tree or rock crevices and man-made structures like barns, bridges, or attics. They have a variety of adaptations to help them survive in their environment, but a few include echolocation, so that they're able to navigate their environment and locate food in near darkness. They do this by sending sound waves that bounce back off objects that allow them to create a picture of their environment using sound. Another adaptation they have developed is hibernation, where these bats enter a state of lower metabolic activity, where activity, heart rate, body temperature, and breathing rate slow in order to conserve energy during times like winter when food is scarce. They also have adapted very useful wing and tail membranes that they not only use for flight to move within the environment, but also as a tool for hunting. They primarily consume aquatic insects, where they use their highly developed wings for good maneuverability to fly above the water. Then they use their tail as a pouch to scoop up insects out of the water and into their mouths mid-flight. Lastly, they've adapted to have sharp teeth in order to be able to break down the tough exoskeleton of insects that they are often consuming. The little brown bat has both innate and learned behaviors. Some of its innate behaviors include echolocation, where they use sound waves to navigate their environment and create a picture of the objects around them using sound waves that bounce back. Baby little bats use this from a very early age. Little brown bats are also nocturnal, meaning that they are most active at night and sleep during the day. They also hibernate during the cold winter months to conserve energy when food is not as available as it is in the warm summer months. They hibernate from generally September or October until about April or May. Another innate behavior that these bats exhibit is something called colonial roosting, where they instinctively form large colonies that can sometimes consist of hundreds of thousands of bats. This allows them to have thermoregulatory benefits, where they don't have to spend as much energy individually to thermoregulate. It also helps to protect them from predators, from safety in numbers, and also by having more eyes and ears keeping watch than a singular bat would. Lastly, little brown bats instinctively groom themselves using their tongues, claws, or teeth. They groom their fur and wings to keep them healthy, which is essential for them to fly. The little brown bat doesn't know how to do everything instinctively, with a lot of their essential behaviors that help them to survive being taught from one to another. One of these behaviors is their hunting technique. Young little brown bats will observe other bats hunting, then practice hunting themselves. Over time, they will continue to get more efficient at catching insects over the water. Another behavior that these bats learn is how to select a good roosting site. They learn this through other bats choosing locations that have good climates for hibernation and summer roosting. Another behavior is how to communicate with each other. Although bats don't extensively communicate with each other, they do have certain calls and responses within their colonies. Young bats will learn these calls through observation, and these calls can also be a form of bonding. Lastly, these little brown bats will learn how to recognize predators over time. They can do this either from personal encounters with predators if they survive, or through communication with other bats in their colony that have encountered predators and then copy those. The little brown bat will eat whatever insects are available at the time, as long as they're about 3 to 10 millimeters in length. They hunt these insects when they're in swarms because it makes it easier for them to catch them. Bats need to eat at least half of their body weight in insects a day to get the proper amount of nutrition, and mothers need to eat even more, usually over their body weight in insects a day. They often catch insects out of the air and on the water mid-flight, but they can also be picked straight off a surface. There are quite a few predators of the little brown bat, consisting mainly of mice, owls, weasels, hawks, snakes, raccoons, martins, fishers, and domestic cats. Domestic cats have become a strong predator of bats as they often nest in human-made buildings where domestic cats are often present. Martins and fishers take advantage of bats that are young or hibernating, while the rest of bats' predators hunt them regardless of age or hibernation. Little brown bats are not only adorable, but also have some really interesting features and abilities. They can fly up to 22 miles per hour, but they usually fly at about 12. A single little brown bat can consume up to 1,000 insects in an hour, which is about 1 every 3.6 seconds. Little brown bats sleep on average about 20 hours a day to conserve energy, and they have a large range for their heart rate. During hibernation, their heart rate can go as low as 8 beats per minute, while during flight in the summer, it can be as high as about 1,000 beats per minute. I loved researching this species, and I chose to do it for the Washington Native Animal presentation because I was listening to a podcast about bats and I learned that their telomeres at their end of their DNA don't shorten with age like the majority of the animal kingdom. This decreases their chances of cancer and many other interesting things. I find bats fascinating and also adorable, but I hope you do too. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Washington State's native bat, the little brown bat.